The year was 1990, and Iraq, under the leadership of Saddam Hussein, had just invaded neighboring Kuwait. In response to Iraq's aggression towards their neighbor, a coalition of 39 countries, spearheaded by the United States, came to the aid of Kuwait. The man chosen to take the reins of the United States Army was none other than General Norman Schwarzkopf, or as he would soon come to be known, Stormin' Norman. The first phase of the mission was straightforward, to begin a buildup of troops and weapons in the desert. This would become known as Operation Desert Shield, beginning August 1990, ending in January 1991. The combat phase began in January 1991, known as Operation Desert Storm. Was Schwarzkopf the mastermind behind all this, or was he taking advice from someone on the side? In the very same year, 1990, quite a different war was going on within the United States, in Illinois. This was, of course, the war waged by Kevin McAllister, an 8-year-old military tactics genius, against the wet bandits, Marv and Harry, who were trying to invade his home. In the fashion of a true military tactical genius, McAllister was always one step ahead of his enemies. He rigged his house with many everyday household items, and anticipated where his enemies were going to strike, often luring them into his traps. McAllister's advanced booby traps worked perfectly, and after nearly 24 hours of doing battle, the wet bandits were soundly defeated by McAllister, one broken back later, and they surrendered to local police. When the story broke across the nation, it became clear to Schwarzkopf that he would need to consult with this young man for his future military ambitions. Thus, McAllister was flown out to the Pentagon to provide tactics to Schwarzkopf, on the condition that he be put up in the Plaza Hotel and be allowed pizza for breakfast every day and free ice cream. "We are facing an enemy nearly 7,000 miles away," McAllister sternly told Schwarzkopf. "While we would like to just hit them with shock and awe right from the get-go, that sadly will not be possible. We will need to slowly start putting troops and equipment into place and building our logistical network, and then when it's complete, we'll strike in a shock and awe campaign, the likes of which have never been seen before." And so, the top secret battle plans were drawn up. Schwarzkopf having a high level of trust in McAllister after he made the comment about needing to build up a strong logistics network before making the attack. Schwarzkopf knew that amateurs deal in tactics, but masters deal in logistics. Operation Desert Storm would go on to be a major success, with Iraq being pushed back within its borders within just 90 days. President George H. Bush would even make a visit in person to congratulate the troops on their victory. McAllister was largely uncredited with the plans for Desert Storm, as he wished to remain a silent partner. However, McAllister did go on to have several accolades and even got to meet Donald Trump at the Plaza Hotel. Norman Schwarzkopf would go on to be a highly decorated U.S. general, credited with one of the greatest military campaign victories of all time, earning himself the nickname Stormin' Norman. McAllister would not feel slighted not being credited at all for the victory. After another incident in New York, he had more than his share of fame and notoriety and wished to grow up a normal child, living out a normal life. This has been the story of how Kevin McAllister advised the United States military to one of its greatest campaign victories of all time, all behind the scenes.